And we begin at 11 o'clock with developing news. An intense search is underway after a young woman is grabbed off of Philadelphia Street and shoved into a car. And we have late breaking details on this case. Good evening. Thanks for being with us tonight. I'm Chris May.
And I'm Jessica Dean. There is now a $10,000 reward offered in the search for Carlisha Gaither. Police have launched a full-scale investigation into the abduction on West Coulter Street in Germantown. Eyewitness News reporter Diana Rocco talked tonight with Gaither's family.
Why her? And who can do such a thing?
And what's more concerning is surveillance video of her abduction Sunday night. You see a man wrestling Carlisha to his car as she puts up a fight. Struggling for nearly a block, Carlisha was walking home from a family party just before 10 when police say the man approached her.
It was sickening. That's the only thing you can say. That it looks like that he even knew that she was coming around that corner because he parked his car and then went back for her.
When they got in the back of the car, you heard like a tat, tat, pat, pat, whatever it was like two of them. And then the back window came out.
The back passenger side window was smashed or kicked out and the car then drove off.
Breaking news, a young woman found alive 3 days after a stranger snatched her off the street. And tonight, how police tracked down the suspect more than 100 miles away. Good evening, everyone. I'm Maurice Dubois.
And I'm Christine Johnson. The suspected abductor is also accused of another violent crime. CBS 2's Tony Aiello joins us now with more on this breaking story. Tony?
A remarkable end to a frightening crime. A massive joint law enforcement effort results in the capture of a man described as a violent predator. And a young woman taken against her will is safe. Tonight, suspect Delvin Barnes is in custody. He's described as a very dangerous predator who was wanted in Virginia on an attempted murder charge. The motive for the kidnapping?
Don't know, other than the fact he's a thug, and this is what he does, apparently. So the people like this don't necessarily, there's nothing that makes sense. Don't even try to find it. So the people like this don't necessarily, there's nothing that makes sense. Don't even try to find it.
It's pretty scary because it's so close to home.
An attempted abduction here in Azusa, just blocks from this family's home. Police say an 11-year-old boy was riding his bike Monday night along the 300 block of North San Gabriel Avenue when a suspect traveling in a van jumped out and approached the child. Investigators say the quick-thinking youngster jumped on his bike and sped away, where he eventually reunited with his mother at this nearby convenience store. Detectives say there was also another suspect in the van, but the child was unable to get a good look.
For a man, police pointed a gun at a woman's head and tried to force her into his van. Inside, a metal cage. KOLO 8 News Now's Terry Russell joins us live from Victorian Avenue. And Terry, this all happened after 9 last night.
Good evening, Sarah. That you're right. Sparks police say a woman came out of a convenience store here on the 2100 block of Victorian Avenue and made her way down the street where she noticed a van parked, flashing its lights off and on as if in distress. She told Sparks police that when she went to go see what was going on with the man inside the van jumped to the passenger side, got out of that door, came around the van, and pointed a gun at her and showed her his genitals. She said the woman told police he tried to grab her arm and take her inside the car. She got away. Meantime, an acquaintance who heard all the commotion going on tried to help the woman. He confronted the suspect. The suspect showed a gun and drove off in the van. Sparks police described this suspect as a Hispanic male, 30 to 40 years of age, with short brown hair and brown eyes. He was wearing a dark-colored hoodie-style sweatshirt and jeans. Now, the van is described as a full-size van, white, with no windows, but with one of those full-size with no windows on the side. It also had a California license plate, and as you said, Sarah, the most disturbing thing is a possible black cage within that van.
That's unbelievable for this town.
Vermilion residents say they're concerned after hearing about another attempted child abduction near the schools. Police are now investigating the incident, which occurred on Friday afternoon.
Two boys said that when they were on their way home from school, a man in a white van asked them to come to the van and come to him. Of course, they did the right thing and yelled and got out of there as quick as they could and told their mom.
There were other attempted child abductions in May and June, but the incidents all involved different vehicles. Police say Friday's attempt was in a van.
The kids described it as a white work van, panel van with no windows on the side. Older gentleman, maybe around 65, white male, white mustache, white baseball hat, and sunglasses.
Here in Magnum. Now, that was when a guy in a car pulled up next to her. She said she wasn't sure at first if she knew the man or not, or maybe he was a friend of the family, so she started walking closer to the car. That's when he got aggressive and grabbed her arm. That's when she started screaming, and police say the man finally let go and sped off. Now, that suspect, described as a white man weighing roughly 300 pounds, a little over 6 feet tall, pretty big guy. He was wearing a red shirt, blue jeans, and a black baseball cap with flames on it at the time. And he was also driving, according to this victim, a baby blue, older-style minivan without windows on the back.
Using this trash can, the man you see on this surveillance tape and his accomplice tried to abduct a worker from this salon as she arrived to open up Tuesday morning.
They stick her into a trash can that they had brought, one of those large kind of like township, like a 55-gallon trash can. They then wheeled the trash can out front.
But police say as they began pushing the trash can with the victim inside toward this white van, something spooked the abductors. And this one, along with his partner, took off, leaving the woman, who suffered minor injuries, still in the container.
It doesn't even appear that robbery's a motive in this. No money was ever demanded, nor was any money taken.
Police say the would-be abductor and his accomplice took off in this van toward Philadelphia, a 2009 Chevy Express 1500 cargo van.
Fox 2's Paul Shankman is live in Rock Hill to explain why they want everyone in that area watching out for one particular white van. Paul?
Well, Tom, at about 8 o'clock this morning, a student walking here to Steger 6th grade center ended up running to school after a strange and unsettling incident just a few blocks from here on North Rock Hill Road.
Beside him at the curb, the sliding door opened in the back and a white male yelled, "Get in."
That unsettling report comes from an 11-year-old boy who says there were actually 3 men in that van when it pulled up next to him near the intersection of North Rock Hill Road and Euclid. The boy immediately took off running for 3 blocks until he got to school. He went directly to the assistant principal to tell him what happened. The school then called Rock Hill Police.
These new flyers blanketing the metro area. Jessica Ridgway missing now for nearly 4 days. Police asking you to take a good look at these pictures and call them if you see her.
Officials searching today by land and by air in at least 2 different communities. Jessica was last seen Friday morning walking to school from her home in Westminster. Her backpack found yesterday 6 miles away in Superior. Police and dogs scouring the areas for any sign of the missing 10-year-old.
Again, investigators say there's no indication at this point that there is a random child abductor on the loose.
Now, we know one of the tips Westminster Police is investigating, a report of a child enticement in Arvada. 7 News reporter Marshall Zellinger live tonight. And Marshall, this report was made less than 12 hours before Jessica disappeared.
4 girls here at Lawrence Elementary School in Arvada reported seeing a suspicious van on Thursday. That's still being investigated by Arvada police. Tonight, when I asked Westminster authorities, is this the focus of your investigation, I was told no. Then I asked, has it been eliminated as a possibility? Again, I was told no.
It felt like we were getting followed by the car.
As Raina, her sister Sierra, and 2 friends walked home from Lawrence Elementary Thursday, they saw a suspicious white van.
We started running and the car turned around the other street and parked in front of us.
The girls ran to a nearby fire station, but when they saw a fire truck leaving, they ran back to school.
We told the principal what happened and she called the cops.
Within a couple hours, a recorded message was sent to the parents of Lawrence Elementary students. Quote, a white van was parked on the side of the road. The girls walked on and the van followed them. The girls became nervous and returned to school. We called the police, who are now investigating.
And then it was just scary because the very next day is when the other little girl came up missing.
1, 2, 3, 8-year-old Demetrius Madison is smiling and laughing once again, but just over 24 hours ago, he was nearly kidnapped by 4 men in a black van who approached him at the Alameda Park Apartments.
The van pulled up and asked him, would he like some candy? He responded no, kept on walking. And they said, are you sure you don't want no candy? Come and check it out. I have some real good candy. And he responded no again. And that's when one of the males got out the vehicle and started to chase him.
I think I really like it.
Little Demetrius, who is a star football player for the South Houston Wildcats, says he ran as fast as he could, then ducked into some bushes and hid behind this air conditioning unit to escape the man chasing him.
How fast did you run? Can you tell me?
Oh, fast, fast, fast.
Demetrius describes that man as a black male, about 30 years old, wearing a red hat, red shirt, and red pants. He was riding in a black van with the words Southeast Bloods spray painted on the outside. He was riding in a black van with the words Southeast Bloods spray painted on the outside.
We turn now to other news. More on that New York City cop charged in a bizarre plot that involved cannibalism. The officer allegedly planned to cook and then eat women, starting with his girlfriend. Eyewitness News reporter Darla Miles has more. She joins us live tonight from Forest Hills. Strange story.
Very strange, Diana. Gilberto Valle lived in this building for about a year, and the most disturbing thing about the story are the emails outlined in the criminal complaint. One of them said that Valle wrote he wanted to cook a woman slowly over time to allow her to live as long as possible. Another one mentioned that he was standing over a woman, possibly his girlfriend, as she was sleeping. He said she looked tasty and she had no idea her days were numbered. Well, prosecutors say it was an estranged wife who became concerned about porn on his computer and then tipped off the FBI. Is there anything you would like to say in his defense?
I'd like to get in his freaking apartment.
The younger brother of the cop, who described himself as a professional kidnapper. Brother of the cop, who described himself as a professional kidnapper, didn't say much as he picked up an English bulldog from his brother's apartment. Have you spoken to him since his arrest?
No.
Would you like to speak to him? Federal prosecutors say 28-year-old Gilberto Valle, a 6-year veteran of the NYPD, conspired to help others abduct, rape, torture, cook, and eat women. They say they've been tracking his email since January, discussing how he would cook a woman, possibly his own girlfriend, in his Forest Hills apartment. The complaint says he was asked by a co-conspirator, quote, "How big is your oven?" Valle responds, "Big enough to fit one of these girls if I folded her legs." Investigators also say Valle illegally accessed a federal database to create a list of 100 potential victims he planned to sell, writing, quote, "This is very risky and will ruin my life if I'm caught. I really need the money and I can't take under $5,000.
A judge in New York has ordered the release from prison of a former police officer dubbed the Cannibal Cop, after overturning his conviction for plotting to kidnap, kill, and cook women. U.S. District Judge Paul Gardeffi said there wasn't enough evidence to support a conviction.
I'm with Nine Gosh. They had Johnny in an abandoned house outside of Sioux City, Iowa, for about 14 days, and then a man came from Colorado who they called the Colonel, paid the kidnappers, and then he basically bought Johnny. What kind of things was Johnny involved in? Prostitution, pornography pictures, molesting other kids at gunpoint like Paul did.
2 years ago, a convicted child molester surfaced and said he helped kidnap Johnny. He told an incredible tale of an underground network of adults who kidnap and sell children for sex. Noreen decided to meet him face to face to confront the person who says he helped kidnap and sexually assault her son. Bonassi claims that an organized ring of pedophiles abducts children and forces them into a life of child pornography and prostitution, and that it happened to him.
And they force you to do things, and they photograph it, they film it. The whole purpose for that is to either blackmail you into staying with them or split your mind up so that you don't even remember who you are.
Kenny ended up owing Spinks hundreds of pounds. When he couldn't pay up, Spinks suggested an alternative method of clearing his debt.
He says the only way you can pay it off is to get young boys. And what he meant, and what I totally understood, is he wanted young male boys to go with him and make sexual films.
Many pictures of me were taken, not just as a child, but also as an adult, that were pornography, and they're out there somewhere. That's another way the coven makes money. And those videos that they make are sold all over the world. One of the biggest buyers is China.
In 2010, there were almost 700,000 missing people. 700,000 just in America of missing people. How many did you hear about from the daily media? You never hear about it. You never hear about 700,000. You never hear about 7. You never hear about 70. Where'd all these people go? The media covers it up. And we look at the fact that these top echelons in the government above us, the politicians, the judges, the White House, and the president, are required to eat hearts almost on a weekly basis, if not daily basis, to make Satan happy. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people that have to die so that a Satan freak in D.C. can eat their heart. And one of the ways they get away with it is they encourage illegal smuggling of immigrants. So when those people show up missing, there's no record of them ever being here. And so a lot of it goes unreported because there's no legal record of that person have ever been or worked or lived in America. And so they prey on illegal immigrants. That's their number one target. And they even help bring them in themselves. CIA has their hands behind drug smuggling, gun smuggling. You better believe they have it on illegal immigrant smuggling, because these people then are taken and used as sacrifices for the cults at the top of America.
How do they murder people? All the children's posters that you see that are missing, they're pretty much dead. They have underground caverns in the mountains, and they keep the children and the kids and the women and men there. And then at a certain time in mid-September, October, they take them out, and they're so... Remember when I told you I could make people get away from me? Like, they'd make the people so numb with curses and stuff, and they'd also drug them up, and they'd take a sacrificial knife and they'd start from the chest and move all the way down to your abdomen. And then that's how they sacrificed, and they'd collect the blood and they'd drink it.
Demetrius says that van load of men circled the parking lot a couple of times looking for him and finally drove away. As for this little boy,
I'm just grateful that I made it home.
And among the most chilling of the unanswered questions, where was the suspect headed and what were his ultimate intentions? A frightening thought, but a thought that has vanished from all minds tonight because Carlicia is safe. In the words of one detective here, I feel like she was one of my family members. Live at Northwest Detective Division, I'm Walt Hunter, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
Walt, thank you.